So history is mostly broken up between sort of like pacifist, revolutionary, like civil rights activists, and then, imperial ambitions, kingdoms, and war, and like, aggressive behavior, right? And so I think what happens here is that real history gets left out because real history is not really expressed in textbooks where there's really just this clear, obvious bad guy. As Norm Macdonald said, he said, "Isn't it convenient that the good guys always win according to the history textbooks?" And that's very much true. Um, you'll hear about the closest thing you'll get to is the Catholic Church versus the Protestant Reformation, right? But they'll ignore all of the, devout, Bible believing, commandment keeping Christians who have existed for all of history. They want to create an enemy boogeyman like the Catholic Church, and then they want to have the Protestants, rebelling against the Catholic Church. They want it to be obvious, like Star Wars, like it's the rebellion versus the Empire, right? And in reality, the people who keep the commandments of God and have faith in Jesus are like the gray Jedi in Star Wars, to continue with the analogy, right? Because one is obviously like kind of like the power structure, right? And then that is true throughout all time. There's always the big empire, the big power structure, wherever it is. And then there's the people who are trying to usurp the power from that. Like E. Michael Jones is a Catholic theologian. I'm not a Catholic, but he says a lot of good things. And so one of the things he says is the Protestant Reformation was a looting operation. And actually, there's a lot behind that statement that would take way more than 1 minute for me to get into. But essentially, what it is when you define yourself by being against the bad guys, you're not standing for God necessarily. Whereas the Bible says that a saint keeps the commandments of God and the faith in Jesus. None of the Protestant denominations really do that as a rule. They're basically just Catholic Church without as many idols. And that's what all of history is like. It's creating this yin and yang balancing effect between like, these are the good guys, these are the bad guys. When we know according to the Bible that we're all the bad guys, our sin nature is like really corrupted. And we need Jesus to free us from that, right? So I'm not against the Catholic Church. I'm against all sin, and the Catholic Church does that.